Hello, welcome to the Free Bin, the Toledo, Oregon Public Library's podcast. I'm Harrison.
And I'm Cindy.
And we have got a very fun episode for you today.
Yeah.
Cindy's got a list. I've got a non-physical conglomeration of things to talk about in my brain.
That's right. But we do want to talk about upcoming things. In June, on June 3rd, summer reading program starts up. And be sure and get yourself registered for that. Read 10 books, you get a t-shirt or a bag. I mean, there's choices. You don't have to have a t-shirt.
We just got our shirts today.
We did, and they're very fun. They have dragons on them.
I got 2 more boxes to unload.
All right. I wondered when I saw one box, I'm like,
There's more.
Okay. And we have some exciting news about our teen corner. That's what we should call it. The teen thing. The teen corner, the mural is done.
Yeah.
Looks so cool. You got to come in and see. I mean, even if you only come in, once a week to the library instead of every day, like we want you to, you got to come in and see the mural.
Yeah, Veta Baktina made that mural for us. She did it quick, and it's wonderful.
Yep. And then Tiny Art, if you have an entry in the Tiny Art Show, you can pick it up after May 23rd. We will make phone calls after that if people haven't picked them up, but eventually they're going to become our property. Mm-hmm. And then you may find them lurking on a shelf somewhere.
We'll put them to good use.
Yes. But do you want to talk about what's coming to the Teen Corner?
Yes.
Which is kind of why we're doing this episode.
Yeah. We have a new collection named Polybius.
Polybius, which I still don't understand that reference, but it's okay. I'm old.
Oh, no, this is like an 80s urban legend.
Okay, I was busy in the 80s.
Yeah, it was one that I definitely, it's spread from its original point of origin. Polybius will be a cabinet, an arcade cabinet, 2-player side-by-side that contains a curated collection of historic arcade games for you to play and enjoy and explore, and we'll have related educational programming, fun stuff, tournaments.
Yeah.
Centered around Polybius.
Okay.
The name comes from Polybius.
Polybius?
Okay. Which was the name of, I think, some philosopher or something. I'm not a classicist. I looked it up. He was a historian, a Greek historian. Obviously, I am not.
Yeah.
But the urban legend centers on Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Our Portland, that at some point in the 80s, there was this legendary black arcade cabinet with a game called Polybius. Ooh. That was just kind of an abstract tunnel shooter type of game. It varies, of course, depending on who's telling the story. That was delivered and maintained by men in black from some unknown whoever was responsible for it, and that people would play it and they'd get hypnotized. Their noses would start to bleed, and they'd play it for hours and hours, and then it would like mess with people's brains. And and of course, like somebody heard that at some arcade, some kid died playing Polybius, and then they'd make it disappear and move it to a different arcade, and you never knew where it was going to be. So obviously, it's an urban legend. Right. It's not. It's a story that was passed around arcades. There was never a Polybius cabinet, but it's a fun, spooky. Yeah. It ties into kind of like, was it some kind of government mind control experiment? So,
men stare at goats sometimes.
Yes,
that's what I've heard.
They do, to varying effect. The goat notices.
Okay. But we digress.
So anyway, there's this fun, creepy kind of campfire story about Polybius. So I decided we should name our cabinet Polybius.
Yes. And if, you find yourself mesmerized or hypnotized, we have a disclaimer. It is not our fault.
It is not our fault. These are arcade games from, from the early days to up through mid 90s. It's very cool because it's kind of, I mean, I know you've talked about this, but it's an archive that is, it's so cool to have that available because those games, as game, I'm going to reveal my ignorance as game consoles become more and more, I mean, they change all the time. You lose some of those Nintendo little plug-in games that look like VHS tapes. That's how they remind me of. The cartridges, you got to blow in it.
Yeah, you got to blow in the cartridge. And so it's cool that they have digitized those and now we have them available.
Yeah, these will be all arcade games. It's an emulation cabinet. So we do want to stress that we are emulating these. This is not the original hardware.
Right.
This is emulation. Right. There will be slight differences in performance compared to playing this on like an original cabinet. Right. Most of us are not ever going to notice the difference, but if you're like a competitive player or you really know it, you may notice little imperfections, little differences. It may run a little faster, a little slower. So if you want that fully original experience of playing this game on the original cabinet, you can go to your local arcade.
Right.
And because they're doing that work oftentimes of having those original arcade machines in good working order. Yep. Of course, controls, this will be a side-by-side 6-button 2-player kind of fighting game cabinet configuration, but a lot of games have custom controls that we can't perfectly emulate with that, if it has a spinner knob or it has a trackball Joust originally had a joystick with a 2-way restrictor plate. It only moved left and right.
Right.
Ours will move all directions.
Right.
It'll only work for left and right in Joust, but there are little differences.
Yeah.
We're preserving the software, providing access to it.
Yeah, and I think it'll give the kids that didn't have the opportunity to play that on the on the original consoles to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And just kind of have fun. In those old games and seeing why their parents really liked them.
Yes, and it's Suzo Hap competition joysticks and Suzo Hap concave buttons. So classic American style arcade controls that we all remember.
And Harrison is not speaking a foreign language. Those are actual things.
They're actual things.
I don't know what they are, but okay. I'm willing to just take his word for it.
When you put your finger on it, you'll know.
You'll know. Okay.
And summer reading.
Yes.
What this all ties into, why it's an opportune moment for this, is iRead's Summer Reading 2025 theme is level up at your library.
Right.
Emphasis on games, emphasis on gamification. We've got that as an emphasis. Alec from Troop 3 BSA is doing this for us, building the cabinet, the actual wooden cabinet itself as an Eagle Scout project. And that's really, really cool. We've been in touch about that, and that's coming in next week.
Yeah, hopefully by the end of next week, you can come in and see that up over there, and Harrison will spend some time wiring it and playing on it, I'm sure, to make sure it's working. That's his excuse. Make sure it's working.
I will probably be recruiting some folks to do some testing.
So you old school guys, if you want to come and test it out, come and do it.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be fun. Anyway, so I brought the drink today. Our beverage is, so I love glass bottled soda. And the reason is it tastes better. I don't know why, but I do. I love a nice cold bottle. And this is something I saw. I don't remember where I got it, but it was a grocery store, and it's Boyland Bottling Company, and it's a Shirley Temple.
I've never had a Shirley Temple.
I don't think I have either. It's got a good smell to it. It's bright red, and it is cane sugar, so it's the real deal. You're going to get the real deal. And it's got fruit and vegetable juice for color. And basically, natural flavors, which I don't know what that means, but there's 43 grams of sugar in this.
Okay.
So let's give it a shot. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
What's going on there?
Do you taste cinnamon?
I do taste cinnamon.
Red Hots.
Red Hots.
It tastes like Red Hots.
I was going to say.
Not as cinnamony, not as spicy, but it tastes like Red Hots.
And I don't mean this in a bad way, but it does remind me of, I think it was children's like Benadryl when I was a kid. There was a specific liquid medication that had that kind of cinnamony vibe to it. And I think it was Benadryl. I'm not sure. I like it too.
It's good. It's got a cherry cinnamony, but not a Dr. Pepper cherry. Just keep that in mind. It's not a cola because I can't stand Dr. Pepper. Sorry. So it's not bad though.
No, that's good.
And it's cold and in a bottle.
I thought I would be more of a cherry kind of thing, but
It's whacked my microphone.
On the mic.
Whoops, sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it is like the better version of. I think it was Benadryl.
I hope it's.
You would not want to drink. You would not want to drink 12 ounces of the Benadryl because then you wake up and the Hat Man is staring at you and there's spiders is crawling out of the walls. Yeah, this is much better. Far preferable.
Sure. So Harrison and I are bringing a subject. I want to just have a little disclaimer on my knowledge. I am not a video game player. I am I can play Mario Kart badly.
So can I.
And so that's the extent of my video gaming days. But I am a movie person. So we're kind of coming at it from two different sides. Harrison's coming at it from the gaming side, and I'm coming at it from the movie side. So hopefully we'll figure this out. But we got to talking the other day about games that have been made into major motion pictures and how they lined up. Similar to like our podcast on books that have been made into movies. This is similar, only it's games, it's video games. And I printed a list because I'm that way.
She came prepared.
I came prepared. And this is from Wikipedia, so, take that for what it is.
That's good.
It's a good list.
I like Wikipedia.
Yeah, so the first one that is on the list is from 1993, and I'm betting our viewers can guess if we tell you that John Leguizamo and
Bob Hoskins
were in this.
And Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
And Mojo Nixon.
No, I don't know who Mojo Nixon is, but I will say that I saw this movie and I've seen it several times.
It's actually a pretty good movie.
Well,
do you want to reveal what we're talking about?
It's the original Super Mario Brothers.
Yes.
Live action movie. And for those of you who were not around in 1993, this was quite a thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was, fairly big deal. That was 30 some years ago. It made $38 million at the worldwide box office.
Oh.
So it had a decent showing.
Yeah.
I mean, really, for 1993.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't that great.
I remember when it came out, and I remember seeing it. I remember kind of enjoying it. But I would say, I don't feel like it's a bad, bizarro sci-fi movie. It's just a terrible Mario movie because it's not a Mario movie. Really, It went through production hell from the time it was pitched and the license was acquired and got passed around and rewritten and redrafted and kind of mangled into this other thing that at the end has really nothing to do with Super Mario Brothers. They just sort of tacked the names onto some characters. It's very funky.
And they dressed them in red and green.
Yeah, they did.
So and they wore the hats. It was not a particularly great movie. I think in my brain, I'm comparing it to the more recent Mario Brothers movie, which was a really good movie.
Yes.
And just done really well and done truer to the game. I think. I mean, from what I know about Mario Brothers and
Yeah.
and the Mario world, and it ain't much, folks. So except for the little carts, and I like to play Princess Peach.
Yeah, I am a Peachette person. My current preferred build is Peachette, Cat Cruiser, roller tires, paper glider.
Okay.
Because people hate Peachette because Peachette is weird, and so I pick Peachette because she has the same stats as Yoshi.
Oh,
but
see.
there's so many Yoshis out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to be just another Yoshi.
See, and I like to do Yoshi too, but I will tell you that my children, and they will remember this. I'm going to have to make them listen to this podcast. They would wait for me at the finish line because they would lap me. So they would all wait, and then we'd cross the finish line so that the game wouldn't end, because as soon as someone crosses the finish line, it ends. And if you're a lap behind, it's no fun for you. So they would do that. And I've won a couple of times, but I'm really not very good. And I will let you know that I am a good driver in real life, just not on Mario Kart.
Yeah, you don't want to drive in real life the way you drive in Mario Kart.
No, and you don't tend to run into gorillas throwing things at you either.
No, not so much.
not so much.
Sometimes a banana peel, but it's fairly inconsequential.
Or bombs.
Bomb.
So some of the others on the list are Double Dragon, which I think had Jean-Claude Van Damme in it. Double Dragon, I've seen that.
Oh, that one had Jean-Claude Van Damme
so.
too?
I brought my Google.
Has he been in 2? I do want to say one commonality between the new really good animated Super Mario Brothers movie and the 1993, they both have Yoshi for just like a second to look at him, and then Yoshi makes like a very brief kind of irrelevant to the story appearance, I think, in both of them.
Oh, I'm wrong. It did not have...
Who was in Double Dragon?
Double Dragon has... Oh my gosh, these people are still around. Scott Wolf is Billy Lee. Alyssa Milano.
Oh.
Robert Patrick.
Patrick.
Who, for those of you who don't know, was in Terminator 2.
Yes.
Terminator 2. Yeah, so some of these guys are gone. Vanna White was in it.
Huh.
Interesting. Okay, now I remember this one. I was wrong. It's not... I don't remember what Jean-Claude Van Damme's was.
He was in Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. Right. Okay. So, see, I get the Street Fighters and the Mortal Kombats and the Double Dragons.
They're all, well, yeah, they're fighting games and brawlers. Double Dragons and brawlers, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
Right.
But as far as movies, they end up being the same kind of movie a lot of times.
That's right. It's hard to remember. I will admit, I did like Mortal Kombat. I like those kind of games. I don't play those games, but I like those kind of movies, kind of the fantasy stuff. There were 2 Mortal Kombat movies made, Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I believe I have seen them both multiple times. I have a kid at home who loves these. That's why we watch them multiple times.
And these are the 90s ones, right?
Yes.
Not the new. I haven't seen the new.
I have seen the new reboot ones too. But the 90s ones they had, there was a guy who did a lot of those kinds of films. And I'm going to look. So fill the space, fill the time here. I'm looking. The 1995 cast, Robin Shou was his name. He played Liu Kang. And then there was Christopher Lambert.
Oh, yeah.
who is, you either love him or you hate him.
He's the best worst actor.
I know, because I really like the whole premise of the Highlander. So this is off course a little bit, but the Highlander, he couldn't. Adrian, what's his name, was much better, but
he can't do accents at all.
Yeah.
The Highlander was Italian for some reason, trying to be Scottish, but as what was a Raiden he played, right?
Yes, Raiden.
And
yeah, but
the fact that he totally didn't try to do an accent. In retrospect, that's probably really good.
Yeah. He would, yeah. But, I liked Mortal Kombat. I thought it was good. Both, but what did you think about the differences? Because we're kind of talking about that too, the game and is it harder? It's harder than a book, I imagine.
I mean, I'm not good at fighting games at all. They're not really my thing. I remember when Mortal Kombat came out, and it sort of has this over the top, like goofy splatter movie violent stuff in it that was sort of the gimmick, and of course it became a bit of a moral panic when it came out. But it's just so ludicrous, and it was meant as, like Evil Dead 2 or something like that, where it's like it's so crazy that it's a joke. But the franchise is still going strong. I haven't played any of the newer ones, but that first one is stiff and blocky and weird. It was done with filming the actors against a green screen as opposed to just doing animation like Street Fighter 2. So it's these grainy little video clips, and it just feels stiff. Like Street Fighter 2, the controls are super smooth. They kind of make sense to what the character is doing. I'm not good at doing moves and fighting games, but in Mortal Kombat, it all just feels, that first one, real stiff and blocky, and it's kind of funky and weird. Like playing it from today to going back 30 years ago, it's not a fluid feeling fighting game. And again, going back and looking at the movie that came out of it, that also was campy and weird, and kind of like the special effects, even for the day, were kind of not quite there. And so with the nostalgia goggles on, it does feel pretty in keeping. Like it's campy, it's over the top, it doesn't take itself seriously. And then over the years, I gather the new movies are far more refined, as are the games, because now you've had 30 years of fighting game nerds, giving feedback and development and all that. So I have affection for them. I don't play Mortal Kombat these days.
It's interesting. Mortal Kombat had 2 movies. It also had a TV series. And the reason that I know this is because it's been on Sunday afternoons. And again, I have a kid who loves this kind of stuff. So we had to watch the entire series, and I think we watched it through twice. And it's there's when Hercules, the Legendary Journeys came out with Kevin Sorbo, and then Xena, Warrior Princess came out. This runs along the same lines as that kind of feel for a television show. So Mortal Kombat, there's a lot of leather brassieres and guys in skull masks, and lots of posturing, and occasionally there's a good fight scene. But the fighting is nothing like what you see now in movies. Now it's so much more like I like a good like martial arts movie, but it's evolved. It doesn't look as fake as it did then. And I don't know if that's just the skill of the performers or the stuntmen. We're going to give credit where credit's due. But, it when you watch a Jackie Chan movie and you're getting kind of the same storyline, good guy against bad guy and real bad guy, you're watching, Jackie Chan gives everything he has to those fight scenes, and to his detriment sometimes, he gets hurt.
And then he gives a thumbs up for the blooper reel.
And then, So these kind of the Mortal Kombat stuff, and I think these early movies from Double Dragon on, the fighting ones, all kind of have that feel of Hercules, and Xena, Warrior Princess, and that kind of campy, the kind of leather armor that no thinking person would wear into combat. And how much skin can we show before we are kicked off the air? It's that kind of thing. And there's a lot of, I see that, and that's a whole nother movie. That's a whole nother discussion about how movies have really changed from being kind of this performance to being much more realistic in the way actors act. And I don't know if that's the way that actors are being trained now, if it's a translation from stage to screen. I don't know. It's an interesting thought, but I noticed that a lot about those early combat
And I think part of it is in the years since the first Mortal Kombat came out, and some of the other classic Street Fighter, all of that, MMA has become a lot more popular, which is an example of how you do like a submission fight in real life, and it's become a lot more popular and accessible to see what that looks like.
Right.
To actually fight. And of course, it doesn't look anything like stage or like traditional fighting game fighting, because that stuff doesn't work in real life. And so there's that interesting kind of push-pull of movies wanting to depict things maybe that are more realistic, because maybe we don't accept something stagey as easily as we used to. And then... But, you go to something like the old Mortal Kombat where, you finish a fight by standing 2 body lengths away from your opponent and pressing this thing, and then you like pull off your face and breathe fire on them and reduce them to bones. And it's, I think that was one, or like, and then there's the one where, you pull off a guy's head and hold his head and his spine up.
Well,
and it's
Kombat.
It is Mortal Kombat. And then, the next fight, you fight the same guy again.
Right.
But, it's so over the top that it is, that it's fun in a way that maybe we're forgetting sometimes to get away from reality. We don't have to make things grittier and realer and that. There we can. You can get trained in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and do that. And then
Yeah. So next on the list is kind of an interesting one, because I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, and you can correct me. It's Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, the game. And there's been 3 movies, because one came out in 2018. That's, I think, the most recent. And I have seen all 3 of them. I like them all. I mean, for knowing nothing about a video game, I've never played Tomb Raider. I like the idea of a female protagonist who is strong and capable and doesn't stand around waiting for the guys to do the fighting. And she's smart and damaged, I mean, because of lots of things. But I just thought that they were pretty good. But I don't know the game that well. So I don't know. I'm assuming maybe from this list that she's the first. Was it the first game that featured a female lead, for lack of a better word?
Well, I know it was definitely kind of groundbreaking at the time for that genre. It was like a third-person action game. I never played the original. I did not. Back then, we did not have a computer that was fast enough to play it, as ancient as it looks now, to look with, this very polygonal woman fighting wolves and monsters and all of that.
She didn't look like Angelina Jolie?
No. But I did play the reboot they did when I got an Xbox 360. See, I don't keep up on games. I'm the type of person who 5 to 10 years after a game comes out, when I get a machine that's capable of running it, I'll get around to playing it, And I think I may have talked on the show before about the kind of ludonarrative dissonance in that iteration of it, where the gameplay, you're exploring, you're climbing on stuff, you're finding things, and occasionally getting in fights with the bad guy mercenary folks. You've got a bow and shotguns and whatever else. And she's like a tank. She's just going, fighting hand to hand and taking out waves and waves of these guys who are out to get her. But then the cut scenes in between areas that are, you walk into a point and it cuts to a short film, basically, is what a cutscene is if you don't play games of this kind. And in the cutscene, it's definitely like a survival thing. She's on the radio with the guy on the ship, and is far more afraid and uncertain and like clearly like dealing with being stranded on this island, and then kills 20 guys who are coming after her, and then is back on the radio like help. Kind of calling. And so it's strange, and that can happen, like trying to give emotional depth to a story that still it's an action game. And so that can create interesting things. Like when a game tries to do the movie stuff, it can be tough. Like if the story is being told that way through like cut scenes between the parts that you're playing, there is the risk of that conflict between the story you're being told and the game that's being played. You know, like if you're playing a character who's clearly like a good guy character, and then the game itself allows you to do reprehensible things, you could make a choice in gameplay that totally throws out the window the whole story, you know? If it's not a kind of on rails-ish kind of thing like Tomb Raider is, it's like you're not making a lot of ethical decisions there. You're just pushing forward, you know, with a little exploration. Right.
So we're going to fast forward. I mean, you can see my list. So if there's anything on here you want to talk about.
I see Uwe Boll. I see his name. Uwe? Oh, man. I see his name on 3 times. Yeah. Uwe Boll.
Oh, House of the Dead.
He did House of the Dead.
Alone in the Dark.
I made it 5 minutes into that and turned it off.
Oh, dear. And
Uwe
Postal.
Boll. Yeah.
Wow.
Uwe Boll is...
He has a theme.
Yes. He is a director known for a fairly high volume of low quality work and a lot of video game adaptations that are...
Okay.
I don't think he necessarily played any of the games.
He just got the
I don't know what Uwe Boll does, but it's I don't want to be too hard on the guy because he'll challenge me to a bare knuckle boxing match. But yeah, he's got a reputation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look him up on Google.
We should talk about him.
So one of the first movies I remember seeing, you know, I don't think I knew Mortal Kombat was a game before I saw the movie, but I knew Doom was a game. And Doom was a movie in 2005. And the cast is actually pretty good. I mean, I remember seeing the movie, I think, but Sarge, whom I'm assuming is a big guy with a gun, was played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Carl Urban, who is one of my favorite actors, who is now in, what is that show he's on in HBO? He plays a superhero. It's the bad guys superheroes that kind of go bad. But he was in Lord of the Rings. He was in a great show on TV that I can't remember now, Almost Human. I mean, he's a good actor. Oh, he was in one of my favorite movies, Red, with bald guy.
Got to narrow it down.
I hate that because I know who this is. He's in everything. Bruce Willis. Oh my gosh. Yeah, bald guy. He was in Red and he was the bad guy and he's so good in that. I mean, you know, then you've got Doug Jones, who's been in lots of things.
Oh, yeah.
I think he won an Oscar, I think, for one of his movies. He's in Star Trek, for those of you who may not know that. So, I mean, there's a pretty decent cast in this. And, but I don't believe the movie did well.
No, I remember enjoying it and also not thinking it was very good.
Yeah.
But Doom is one of those games that, you know, it was a big deal when it came out. It was like one of the, you know, it was not the very first person game out there, but for first person shooters, it kind of set the template.
So before we go on, explain first person shooters, just in case.
Yes. Thank you. This is getting into some of our summer reading game literacy stuff. So first person, third person, these refer to the same things in games as they do in literature. If you are reading a first person novel, it's going to be saying, I did this, I did that. the story is being told from the perspective of the protagonist. In a video game, a first-person game means that the camera is in the place of the protagonist's eyes. So you're looking at your hands, you're looking at the player character's hands, you're looking from their head and looking at the world around you, walking around. Third person, where, you know, in literature, that's something that's being described. You know, he did this, she went there. You're looking at the character. If it's you know, if you're controlling an individual player character, you are watching the character run around. So your modern Mario games, Mario is on the screen and he's running around. You're not looking and seeing Mario's hands. Yeah. You're watching Mario and you're controlling him like a little remote controlled car, right? Okay. So a first person shooter is a game that is you're doing a lot of shooting. You're typically carrying firearms or something equivalent. And we can get into a whole cultural and user interface discussion about why that is. I think for a technical reason, it's that if you are looking for an exciting scenario to put in, you know, conflict drives narratives, and if you've got an action oriented game, we've been shooting little dots at things and each other in games forever because it's a very simple interaction to model. You point at something, you press a button, and something happens to the thing you're pointing at in various forms. They're very abstract ones, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, a combat situation that's being modeled, but it's pretty easy to do with a keyboard or a mouse or a joystick and buttons. You point at a thing and you click on it. Right. And then other reasons, there's plenty of dissertations to write about that. But it follows that what is now kind of the standard model of there's this crazy situation where it's on a moon of Mars. And there's a secret, like there's a research base that opens a portal to hell, and there's one Marine on the base who survives, fights his way. Spoilers for a game from 1993, right? He fights his way through the base and the demons and the reanimated, possessed bodies of former, you know, base personnel. Goes through a couple more portals, goes to hell, and defeats the whatever it is, the big spider monster demon at the end. He takes it all the way there. Okay. So, you know, it's got some it's got some interesting theological themes. I don't think they
I probably didn't count on that.
I don't think that they're very much in line with a lot of established doctrine in any denomination of the Abrahamic religions, but there you go. Hell comes through the portal and he just goes and stomps it. Yeah. Goes and stomps. Well, and so you have
somebody has to, right?
Right. And it creates a blank vessel for that character because you are playing as the Space Marine, the Doom guy. Right. We'll have a podcast episode on this. But, you know, he doesn't talk. He doesn't do much, at least, you know, other than the basic information that's given to you along with the game. He's sort of a non-character. He's a player insert character. So it's a great jumping off point to write stories because he's just this sort of silent, tough guy who can fight through hell and kill demons with a shotgun.
Yeah. Maybe it's silver bullets. I don't know. Moving on.
And a chainsaw. Chainsaws work too. And brass knuckles.
Right.
So, you know,
I'll keep that in mind.
Fallback, if it ever comes up, you can just punch him.
Just punch him with brass knuckles.
Punch him good.
I was looking at this list, and this is the first one on the list that we would think of. The one that we're coming up to was made in 2010. And looking at the list, it made them, so far of the ones we've talked to, it made the most money. It's made 336 and some change in millions, $336 million. It's Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, which actually I really liked the movie. Never watched the video game, but I thought that the movie was pretty decent. Mostly, it had a good cast. Ben Kingsley's in it. I think he plays the bad guy. Jake Gyllenhaal plays the prince. Gemma Atherton's in it. Alfred Molina, that if you're familiar with Spider-Man, Doc Ock, Alfred Molina. A lot of really decent actors. And I just, it was a fun movie. If it's on a Saturday afternoon and I'm hanging out under a blanket, I'll watch it, you know? I think it had humor. It had action and adventure. The princess was not a pushover princess, you know. She fought back a little bit. But there's a big jump in the revenue looking at this list chronologically. 200 Lara Croft Tomb Raider, which was we just talked about, made in 2001, made 274 million, and that's the closest. So that's another,
Yeah. I didn't know that the Prince of Persia movie made that.
That's what it says. It made worldwide box office $336 million. I wonder what its budget was in 2010.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's taking cues from the more recent, as of the movie coming out, Prince of Persia games, which I bought one used for $5 that was of that era. And when it got rebooted, and I think I didn't make it past like the first, the beginner boss. It was a notoriously difficult game, and I didn't get it. But I remember the 1989, the original Prince of Persia. I really love that game. I highly recommend. You can find it on Internet Archive.
Oh, nice.
The Apple II version of the original Prince of Persia. Yeah. You played that one?
Oh no, I did not, but my kids probably did.
Yeah, it's a very it's an interesting game. It's a platformer game. You run around, you jump on stuff, you climb on stuff.
Oh yeah, which he does in the movie.
Yeah,
jumps around a lot.
I should hope. you sword fight the guards and stuff. But the premise of the game, the 1989 game, is it's a rescue the princess kind of thing, and you have 2 hours. So it's making your way as the prince to the top of the tower, and you have 2 actual real-time hours. So it goes screen by screen, room by room.
Cool.
If you die, you get stuck. You start back at the beginning of that
with less
screen
time.
With less time.
Oh.
So it's not like you have a certain number of attempts or that kind of thing. It's that you have 2 actual hours to make it to the end.
Right.
Which is stressful. But it's a novel approach, for the time especially. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you can hop online and play it on the Internet Archive. It's good.
It reminds me of one that's on the list here too. Prince of Persia reminds me a little bit of Assassin's Creed. I watched that movie. I think I've seen it maybe one or 2 times, or 1.5 times maybe. Again, it's that adventure. Rescue the whatever, princess, king, whatever. And I like those kind of movies. I like they're not, that's a genre. That's a movie trope that someone's in trouble. The hero goes in to rescue him. The hero might be a little inept, but you're talking multiple movies made with that trope. And I think that those are just fun adventure movies to me. So Assassin's Creed, I don't know what it was like. The game was like at all. The movie, again, it made it made 240 million at the box office. Another one that is in that same kind of thought, because it's set in the same kind of, I think, and I may be speaking incorrectly, so don't hurt me, is Warcraft, which I think is that the movie based on World of Warcraft.
Well, there was Warcraft, then there was Warcraft 2, which is the one I grew up with.
Okay.
Which is a real-time strategy game, like Command and Conquer or that sort of thing.
So it's not like the multiple role-playing game.
Then there was Warcraft 3 that I never played, and then World of Warcraft where you play it's like a role-playing game.
Right, okay.
Warcraft...
Are they all based on the same kind of premise?
Yep. Yeah, same world, but the Warcraft 2 I grew up playing. My cousin told us about it. And, it was really good. But yeah, I know that you can lose your whole existence to World of Warcraft. There's so much to do in there. I never played
I'm going to digress just a little bit to talk about one thing that's related to the World of Warcraft. It's a show that was it was an internet show starring Felicia Day called The Guild. It's so funny. And it's based on these people who play as a guild in World of Warcraft. But they run into each other in the real world, and it has hilarious results. So I don't even know if you can find it anymore, but it's called The Guild, and I enjoyed it greatly.
and since we're doing a glossary, I realized I mentioned another genre or two. A real-time strategy game is a game where you control resources strategically. Usually they're warfare-oriented games where you are looking down from the top down, typically, at a map, and you are placing buildings, units, vehicles, putting in buildings, like in Warcraft 2, you put in a barracks and you can have the barracks train infantry units for you. And then you have to build farms to support the barracks. And you're building up things as, there are also, if you remember SimCity, there are these like city building games and resource management games. A real-time strategy game is sort of like the war game version of that kind of stuff, as opposed to, we've already talked about what a role-playing game is. So World of Warcraft is a computerized, very elaborate and expansive version of the same thing you'd be doing playing D&D or Cyberpunk, where you're playing as a character and exploring the world as an individual, as opposed to marshaling resources, which I am bad at those games. I can control one guy. In real life, I can barely control one guy, and it's the same in a video game.
True. Well, that reminds me of a Big Bang Theory episode where Sheldon gets all of his things stolen, and they have to go hunt down the guy who stole them, and then Penny gets them back for him. It's a very funny episode. But, I digress. So another one, this one made $428 million. It's Rampage, and it was a movie starring Dwayne Johnson again, who seems to have found a niche.
Again.
I think, is this the one with the giant ape?
Yes.
So I just watched this not too long ago. And it kind of, it's a good, I didn't hate it. It's Dwayne, it's The Rock, and it's a giant CGI'd ape who he likes and who destroys things. But it did remind me a little bit of like a Godzilla movie, because there's monsters that come out at the end, and the monkey whose name escapes me.
Yeah. Oh, what is the ape?
He kills them all.
Yeah, it's based on a series of games, Rampage being the first one. Come on in and check out Polybius when it's up and running.
Oh, boy.
Maybe we'll take a look. And I think I remember reading a review years ago about Rampage, because there have been a few games that came out over the years, that it's managed to be a long-running franchise, even though it's never had a really good game in it. I think it's more fun as an idea than as a game. Yeah. But it's like you play as a giant like werewolf or lizard monster or ape. I think it's was it originally a 4-player cabinet? I don't remember. Where you basically you go into a city and you punch buildings, knock down buildings, you fight the military,
oh boy.
And it's very, it's cartoony. It's very, very lighthearted cartoon game, but it's like a cartoon version of that King Kong Godzilla kind of thing where you're going for high score of just destroying
to see how much you can stomp on.
But it's really not mechanically as a game. It's not as satisfying as it is. You look at the cabinet and you look at it in attract mode, and there's this funny, ape crawling up a building, punching out windows, and it looks wonderful.
Right.
It looks so fun. And then you play it, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess it is just.
Yeah.
You can crawl up the building and you can punch the windows, and there you go. Hope you like doing that because that's all you're going to be doing.
Right.
Sorry to any big Rampage fans out there. I don't know how many are out there.
Well, one that didn't make as much money, but it still made $433 million, was Pokemon Detective Pikachu. And I watched that once and I really kind of liked it.
I loved that movie.
It was just cute. And Pokemon is, it's a phenomena. I mean, we have people from the littlest to the oldest that come in and play Pokemon Go or collect the cards or play the game. And it's just become this phenomena of gameplay, and there's so much, but this one had what's his name, Ryan Reynolds, and then I don't know who played Pikachu. Somebody.
Pikachu was Ryan Reynolds, right?
Oh, was Pikachu right? Oh, then who's the other guy? Who's the other guy?
The main character.
Let's see. I'll Google it.
Yeah, it's not coming to me.
See, this is what librarians do. We Google.
And then we check what we find in Google.
That's right. We don't just believe it. We have to back it up. But at this point in time, Google's working for me right now. Okay. Detective Pikachu. Pika Pika. Ryan Reynolds was Detective Pikachu. Justice Smith was Tim Goodman. Was that the...
Oh, yes.
Had Bill Nighy in it. Rita Ora. Suki Waterhouse. I mean, there's some names in here.
Yeah.
But so Tim Goodman, I believe. Well, now there's two Tim Goodmans on the list. One of them is a young man. And that's right. That's the premise of the movie. I remember that. He's looking for his dad, right? So I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
I think that was made in 2019. So that's 6 years old. And I would watch that again.
Yeah. I didn't even know that it was based on a game. Like, obviously, Pokemon, the games have been around. I didn't know that Pokemon Detective Pikachu was a game that has that premise. Yeah. I'm not that tuned into it to know that it was an actual specific game. Because when I saw that premise, I was thinking, this is kind of weird. And then I learned, oh, no, actually, there is a game that's about a talking Pikachu and all of that stuff. They are great. And I did not play Pokemon games when I was younger. Like when they first started, I did not have a Game Boy. I was not a handheld game player.
Right. All I played was Tetris, and that would be a really boring movie.
Although there is a Tetris movie about, yes.
Oh, man.
It's fairly fictionalized about the creation of Tetris and how it moved from, the guy who developed it in the Soviet Union and it moved over to the United. There's the story there. Yeah.
But
the game itself.
Yeah.
Not a lot of narrative.
No, not a lot.
Block goes down.
Not a lot.
Block goes down. Line disappears. It's quite compelling.
I bet you somewhere someone could come up with a plot that featured Tetris.
But I think the really cool thing about Pokemon that I'm learning now is it does have that appeal. A lot of the games have that appeal to younger kids. You've got the characters. You can sort of hammerhead your way through those games as a younger child might, just picking your favorite Pokemon or your strongest Pokemon, and you can kind of push your way through. But if you really want to get technical about it, there's some deep math and optimization that if you're like really into D&D, min-maxing your characters, working your stats, exploiting, ways that you can, stack different modifiers. You can go really deep. Like you can never stop learning about Pokemon. And yet, a very stubborn small child can push their way to the end and not become frustrated.
Yeah.
Which is just a really tricky thing for from a game design perspective to be able to accommodate those. And of course, if they lean one way or the other, people will complain that, this one's too easy or that, whatever. But there was a lot about, I remember a couple years ago when I was working in the school district, we had to ban Pokemon cards because there was trading going on and it wasn't turning out well for everyone. Oh, yes.
And so it became kind of like, no, we're not going to do that. It just keep your cards and don't bring them to school. And I think that was a good decision because you can get really, I gave away Pokemon cards for, just for prizes and stuff in the library, but, I think it's cool because it gives, I think collecting for kids, like collecting Pokemon cards or even like Magic the Gathering cards or those kind of card games, those collectible card games that kids are, that you used to sit at a table and play. The collecting is it engages your brain in all kinds of different ways. Value, what's the value of a card, or how does this, am I collecting because I love these things, or and I don't know much about Pokemon, but I know you like create a deck out of a certain like electric or water or, and how does my power level, if I'm going to play somebody who's water, what do I need to stack my deck? How do I need to do that? And I think that's really good for kids. I think that it engages critical thinking and all of those things that kids need to engage in. It also can become obsessive. And so that's something to watch out for. You can become very obsessed with a game and that can flip to the other side of that's not really very good for you. To sit on by your console and eat Cheetos off your chest. When
collecting turns into something else.
Yes. Yeah.
When you end up on a cable TV show.
Orders.
Yeah. I take in a Bulbasaur every now and again. It's like there's a trail through the house.
Right. Well, and other kids' ones that have come out, Sonic the Hedgehog, the movies, they have done extremely well. I think kids love Sonic. I really liked the movies. I thought they were funny and well done. And for a movie based on a character that's little and blue and from another world,
he goes fast.
And he does go fast.
That's a key character trait.
That's right. He's fast. And kids, they love him. They love Sonic the Hedgehog. I am assuming that the game, has something to do with running fast.
I've got feelings about Sonic the Hedgehog. We were a Nintendo family growing up. We had didn't have an NES. My cousin Joel, who friend of the pod, occasional guest. He had the NES too, so I'd play it at his house as a kid. We had a Super NES, then we had an N64, and for our younger listeners, there was a rivalry between Nintendo and Sega back in the 16-bit era, especially. And Sonic was a Sega character. They no longer do hardware. They just do games. So now you play Sonic on Nintendo consoles, which was unthinkable back in 1993.
Yeah.
But when Sonic is not going fast in the original Sonic the Hedgehog game, which I did play, we do have a Sonic game now that I enjoy, awkward, slow compared to Super Mario, where you're running, you're jumping, and you're kind of the really tight control is Nintendo's thing, and they've only gotten better at it. Yeah. Sonic, it was about getting him up to speed and carrying that momentum through and sort of memorizing these levels so that you know how to get him rolling, literally in a lot of cases, and have him fly through to the end. So it was a lot of trial and error. But when you're kind of floundering and trying to find your way through, he can't walk up hills because his momentum carries him back down. So he's awkward and ungainly and hard to control. And so I'm going to this isn't going to be an inflammatory thing, right? Best part of a Super Mario game is playing, maneuvering, jumping around, dodging things. The best part of a Sonic the Hedgehog game is when he's flying along at full speed and you're not doing any inputs because you've got him going. The best, most rewarding part of a Sonic the Hedgehog game is when you're not playing it.
Oh.
Send me your hate mail, Sega fans. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That would be Harrison Baker at the Toledo Public Library. Do not send it to me.
But we do have Sonic Mania. We do play it as a family. I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's fun, and it does feel good when you get them flying down a tunnel. Yeah.
Well, there's a couple others to talk about that just came out. And this one, I just looked at the numbers of the amount of money that it made, and it has been out since April 4th, 2025. The Minecraft movie.
Yes.
$874 million worldwide, and it's still in theaters.
Yeah.
Now, I went and saw this movie.
Full man sandwich.
And I liked it.
I liked it too.
I liked it for a couple reasons. One, it was so much fun to watch Jason Momoa not be cool. He is, spoilers, if you don't want to hear this, sorry. He is not cool in this movie. He is actually acting like someone other than Jason Momoa. Jack Black, you love him or you hate him. I happen to love Jack Black, and he is so funny. The soundtrack is really fun. The kids in the movie are really good actors. I thought they were great. There's some really fun characters. I enjoyed it. Did I understand the storyline? Here's what I know about Minecraft. You put squares together to build things, and there's someone named Steve, and there's zombies. And that was my limited knowledge going into this. But I really liked the movie. I thought it was fun. And I went away going, I guess that's about the game.
I did too. And I'm kind of surprised by how much I did like it for a couple of reasons. One is, Minecraft is a game that, is loved by people I love, right? So I have to enjoy Minecraft on that basis. I don't play it myself. A lot of it has to do with how it looks. It just looks unappealing to me. Everything's a square, and it's supposed to be like a 3D kind of harkening back, I guess, to like 8-bit era, but it doesn't look even like 8-bit. It's just the blockiness feels weird to me. It's not a place I want to spend time.
Right.
And the way they brought that to life in the movie, they made it appealing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed spending time in that space.
Yeah.
And also the fact that it uses what used to be kind of the standard narrative device of adapting a video game to a movie. If you imagine, and we talked about this before when Cindy and I were hashing out this episode yesterday, the weird way that a lot of times a game would be adapted to a movie is, imagine you're going to see a movie of a famous book, a really deep, interesting book that you care a lot about. Like, we'll say The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, right? You go to see the movie of this book, and lo and behold, as it opens, it's about a group of wacky teenagers and they find a magic portal that transports them to the world of The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, and they have to find their way through to meet all their favorite wacky Toni Morrison characters and find their way back to the real world.
Right.
It's like, that would be insulting. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, why are we not telling the story? Why are we putting this device in there? The game has a story. Why are we adding another thing where it's like, where the movie, the game is a game in the movie? It's weird, but that's how, like, if you wanted to see a movie of a game, you like, that's what you got hit with a lot historically.
Right.
And the Minecraft movie totally does that. Like I feel like now a self-aware way where they lean so hard into that trope that it manages to enrich it somehow rather than which is another kind of difficult thing to pull off, but they did it.
Right.
And so I was kind of amazed by that.
Well, now correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the Mario movie do that too?
Well, the
Don't
Mario
they get sucked into a portal?
now we can go
Land?
down into this thing, right? Because that canonically works.
Oh,
right?
okay.
When you're playing Minecraft, to the extent that I know, I've watched people play Minecraft. The whole game is the game. You're just existing in the Minecraft world. You're not actually going to Minecraft from Idaho. But Mario, he goes to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Okay. See,
and he's and way back, you know, he was always portrayed as a New Yorker, right? You had Captain Lou Albano.
You go to hell before you die.
Super Mario Brothers Super Show. And then he became an Italian caricature when Charles Martinet took on the role.
Okay.
And did all the great voice work that I think Nintendo is now moving away from as they have brought in, what's his name, who's in everything, Parks and Rec, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, Chris Pratt?
Chris Pratt.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think they're starting to think that maybe we're running up on a point in history where doing a really broad Italian stereotype character might start to a conversation.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think he's always been presented as a New Yorker or an Italian or Italian American. He's
plumber.
Yeah, a plumber. Because he also doesn't do any plumbing in the Mushroom Kingdom, which further cements the fact that it's not his primary thing.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't think he does any plumbing work. Well, he travels by pipes, but that doesn't count. Anyone can go in a pipe. I can go in a pipe. I'm no plumber.
Well, that's true.
But yeah, I think that canonically works.
Right.
But no.
Oh, okay.
No, because I'm forgetting about Donkey Kong.
Okay.
Because before because that takes place on a construction site, because Mario was a construction worker there. I think he became a plumber a little bit later when Super Mario Brothers came out. I think he was doing like general construction. I think he didn't become like a journeyman plumber. I think he specialized after that.
Okay.
Maybe the gorilla throwing barrels at him made him think maybe he wanted to find a more specialized trade.
Maybe I don't want to do this anymore.
But it just got worse though, because then he's dealing with a revolution in the Mushroom Kingdom every couple of years. So I don't know. And that has nothing to do with his day job.
That's true.
Except for the pipes.
Right. Well, and there's a couple coming out that are Mortal Kombat 2. I mean, that's more like Mortal Kombat 5. But anyway, it's coming out with Warner Brothers. There's one that's in theaters now that just opened on April 25th, I think, Until Dawn, which I've heard nothing about, but it sounds vampire-ish or werewolfish.
Oh.
And so
I don't know that game.
I don't either. Maybe somebody out there does. And then one that my family is extremely looking forward to because they have played every iteration of this is Legends of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda, sorry.
Cindy just informed me yesterday that this movie's getting made. I'm very much looking forward to it. The release date is
March 26th, 2027 through Sony Pictures. So I had heard this, and I actually, on occasion I am coerced into sitting on the couch with my granddaughter watching her play Legend of Zelda, whom I thought Zelda was the guy walking around but no.
She's a big deal.
She's a big deal, but Link is the guy walking around doing all the things. It's beautiful graphics. I mean, I'm very impressed with that. And the, I'm older. And so I look back on the video games that I attempted to play, and the graphics are amazing in what we have now. They're so realistic. And that's a credit to the people that are doing the games and the animators and whatever they call themselves now, the magic makers, in my opinion.
Credits are so long on a big video game like that, where it's like you find the whole department dedicated to making leaves blow in the wind, right?
And they're amazing. But so that's something to look forward to, is Legends of Zelda, and hopefully they'll release it in a timely manner. I think they'll have a revolt if they don't. I was going to look here and see if I could find out which ones made the least amount of money.
Probably one of those Uwe Boll movies.
Yeah, well, let's see. We're looking at Dead Trigger made $151,000.
I thought you were going to say $151.
$151,000. I think that may be the winner. I don't even know what that is. Dead Trigger.
I don't know that one either.
2019. Oh, Rotten Tomatoes didn't even do anything with it. So yeah, there's good ones, there's bad ones. Werewolves Within didn't even break $1 million. So yeah, I think we're looking at some pretty. Oh wait, Postal with Uwe Boll.
Never played the game, never saw the movie.
Made $146,000. It got 9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think the game got about the same, but I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, there's some cool movies out there too about video games. We talked a little bit about that. Jumanji. I love those movies. Come watch them. I've watched them 12 times. I love them. I love the old one. I love the 2 new ones. Pixels is a funny movie that is really kind of geared at people in their 40s who played those Pac-Man and Tetris and all that kind of stuff. And The Free Guy, which was an interesting movie with Ryan Reynolds about, I didn't even know what Free Guys were. I didn't know that existed in a game. So check those out too, because those are fun.
And I think it's worth also discussing prestige TV series now that are being made very successfully, because historically the movie making industry had a lot of personalities in it who maybe didn't really treat video games, computer games, with the respect that they deserve. Not maybe, they definitely didn't. Like a lot of times you get a movie and they would treat it as like making a movie based on a toy. Right. They weren't thinking of this as a story.
Right.
Even when a game had a very deep and established long-running story, you could get something that was like this throwaway thing. But now that's changing as there's more cross-pollination of things. Video games have matured in various ways over the decades, so now you're seeing TV shows come out that are staying pretty true to the stories and the emotional content of the games they come from, like The Last of Us.
Right. I haven't seen that.
I have not. My wife watched that one. I have not watched the show. Haven't played the game. I don't know if I could handle the game right now.
Yeah.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And then even the Twisted Metal show, for such a
I did watch that.
Goofy kind of no story game, it was entertaining.
It was bloody. And
then you've got the case of like The Witcher, which of course
that's
the video
right.
games,
I forgot.
The video games are based on the novels, but the TV show does seem to take a lot of cues from the games. So it's a whole world.
There's, I sometimes get frustrated because sometimes it seems like with the way we're making things, the way that entertainment happens is that there's no original ideas. There's and then there's bad adaptations of books, and we've talked about that. I can talk about that forever, but just the idea that sometimes it just seems like there's no original thought anymore, no original plots. Now we know there's like, a certain finite amount of tropes that are used in movies and in books, and that's fine. But I think sometimes it's like I'm looking at this list of games thinking somebody played the game and went, oh, that'd make a good movie, and yanked it out of nowhere and then make this horrible movie. And it's like, well, maybe just have an original thought, I don't know. Just thinking.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's probably, are we done discussing? We killed this subject.
I think we have. I've done my share of driving this into the ground.
Right.
And I do want, talking about these ways that media can move, stories can move from one medium to another, from books to movies to games to pinball tables, which we won't even get into.
Oh, yeah. Successfully,
unsuccessfully, how they're treated, whether we're respecting the source material or trying to subvert it. There are all sorts of ways it can go. And I do, as we move into summer reading, I do want to do a full episode on Doom, not just about the story or
is
the
that one of the games on the cabinet? Do we have Doom?
No. Doom is a great example of how, you can kind of never go home again, right? In terms of the experience in 1993 versus now. So I do want to play Doom on an upcoming podcast episode.
Right.
Because I have a 1990s era mouse and a 1990s era keyboard. And we have Doom. We'll be able to do that. But it raises more questions about how a genre has changed in ways that playing it the way you played it in 1993 is unimaginable, because now there are things that have become standardized, things that have become expected and refined, that just even the knowledge that you have in 2025 changes the experience of playing a game from 1993. And it's a really interesting thing in terms of software preservation, cultural knowledge and history. So I don't want to get too much into that, but just as a little preamble to having conversations about software preservation in the future. And yes, we're gonna fail at Doom. So don't worry.
Well, my part will be 2 seconds long and then I'm dead, because I am not very good at it. And it's just the way it goes.
I've never beaten it. I've not come close, but, and I've been playing it off and on for years, but usually with the cheats on, so that I'm just playing around. So yeah, we'll do that together.
Okay.
We'll share it with you, the listener.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Cindy.
Yep. It was a good conversation.
Yeah. And I got to rewatch Mario, the original Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I'm going to go home and try to watch Borderlands sometime, because that's one that came out just recently, and we didn't talk about it, but it's got Cate Blanchett in it, and she does very, very well.
Let me know what you think.
I will. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Talk to y'all next week. Bye. The Free Bin is a production of the Toledo Public Library, which is part of the Lincoln County Library District in beautiful Lincoln County, Oregon. Writing by Harrison Baker, Cindy Balek, and Denise Marsh. Original music and editing by Harrison Baker. That's me. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of any organizations they represent. Good night.